Hi everybody, this is Patrick from Sasquatch in the Wild, and this is going to be the last installment of this video. This would be the part 4 of the slideshow, and we're starting off right where I ended. This is a tree break, and I realized when I was going through the videos that I had not done anything really for 2016. And there's some stories in 2016 that I want to share. So after this video release, which will be on Sunday, so next Wednesday, I'm going to go back to 2016. And there's some evidence that I've got that really kind of blew my mind, because I got to see a Sasquatch pretty close, and I was with Mike from Sur, and he and I were on a camping trip. Probably it's about a 3 or 4 hour drive from Denver. And we were there, I'm pretty sure it was a Friday night and Saturday night, came back on Sunday. And there's some video that's I'm going to share with that too. Some video that I took. And I only wish that I had brought my camera and had it with me, because it would have been a fun series of photographs of this guy. Anyway, so this is a tree break, not very tall, it's fairly small. I think it was only about 1.5 feet in height, and the funny thing about this tree break is it was literally the same, it was like perfectly broken in the middle. It did not look like it was really like they put a lot of effort into it, but they did remove a lot of the branches. And you'll see in a lot of tree breaks that the branches are stripped from the trees, and they just a straight up stick that's been busted in the middle. And this one is busted straight up in the middle right here. The distance from here to there was equal to the distance from here to there. It was pretty impressive. Oops, too far. What in the heck is this thing doing? All right, so we were hiking around, and we were heading back up towards the campsite, because we eventually leave our camping area, and we packed up and drove down to a trailhead. But this is on our way back up to the campsite. So this is a crazy tree structure. This is an X, and part of the X, the tree was brought in. The other part of the X, the tree was not. So this tree, I do believe, was the tree that was leaning into it, and this tree here was brought in and placed. There's another branch that is extending off. I want to say that it's part of this, actually. It is part of this. So it comes off of this, and it comes straight down. It's almost like an asterisk, but it's not. Different view, or a little bit further back. So this is that tree in question. So this tree here was the brought-in piece, and this tree here, you can see the root ball here, was leaning into another tree that's over here, so it's pinned. A lot of X's do not mean keep out. I don't think I've ever seen an X where it means keep out. I have found X's in different parts of Colorado, and I've never felt like I did not belong there, unless I really felt like there was something wrong in the area. Now, when I was dealing with Junior, the only X, there was no X's out there, but I had that sensation of get out, and that's because I went down the trailhead and stopped, and I was taking pictures, and I had the sensation of you have to leave. And I was like, wow, I'm going to take one picture, and I took a photograph, and then I decided I was going to take 5 more feet, or I was going to walk 5 more feet down this trail. And I stopped, and when I stopped and I was taking this last photograph, I could hear breathing in my left ear. So whoever was to my left, and I'm pretty sure it was a female, that if I were to turn and looked to my left, I would have been face to face again with a Sasquatch. I had been really close to the things, and some of my earlier stories, like the Wellington Lake story, the first one, I think that was the first one I talked about. That one, I talk about Big Man. I was on a trailhead there for 5.5 hours with a Sasquatch, and I didn't have my cell phone with me, but I know I left at noon, and when I came back, it was like 6:30 at night, and I was with my dog too. So X's in general, I don't believe actually have anything to do with keep out. I think they're all they're based around food. There are videos on the internet. Colorado Bigfoot, he's gone out and there's been a series of 3 X's that I saw in his videos, and what runs past those X's is deer. I think X's mean food or some type of resource for them. I've seen other structures that are tall, and they're usually around some type of plants, and those plants, I am pretty sure, have some type of medicinal value attached to them. So I'm not a firm believer that X means keep out. Usually X's mean that there's something there that's important, like X marks the spot. There is food here. Jeff Yellick and I were up at Site A, up on a mountain, and we found a giant X. And about 50 feet down and to the left of it, or depending on how you're looking at it, was a natural spring. And it was bubbling up fresh, clean water. And it looked like something had been standing around that watering hole, drinking from it, while the rest of the water trickled all the way down the mountain to Site A. I found that really intriguing. This is a tree break. Now, it's not like a typical tree break. So this tree break actually has 2 branches. This branch goes across the top of this log, and the other branch goes under the log. So this log is literally pinning onto the lower branch here, which is intriguing because this tree goes right in between these 2 trees, and it's next to this tree, which is also being held down by this branch that's going across that tree, and it's holding on to the tree break here. That's just too many oddities that just don't add up for me. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I wonder what that is. That just, okay, that's just a tree or part of a branch or something. All right. A different look, but the same thing technically. Triangles. Triangles in general, you should look at them kind of like a sign. You can usually find a trail or something leading off of a point. So if this was like a straight on triangle where this was touching that and this was touching this, I would say that there's probably a trail over here, a trail back over here, and this one looks like there's a trail kind of cutting through here. So I would say that it still holds true that triangles usually will give you a quick direction to try to find something. And if you follow it for a while, you'll probably come across a V, and that means you're getting closer to like a road or a game trail or a trail. If there is a log underneath it, you're going to be going through like a stream or a river or something, or maybe a ravine. If the log is on top, you're climbing over things like maybe a fallen tree. But if you follow that line, you'll probably run into a road or something right, further on down the trail that you're on. So we had gotten up to, we packed out our stuff and we went to this location, and this post was ripped from its location. I thought that was kind of interesting. But again, without using words, the Forestry Service was kind enough to give us an arrow and a mountain. Now, we know we are close to the Colorado Trail, and we ended up hiking down a road which I do believe was part of the trail. That's a close-up shot. This is the road in question. It goes, I'm looking all the way down here. But then if we turned around and we were looking back down the other direction, it would look the same way. And this is the other direction looking back behind us. So we ended up hiking on this for a little while, and we were surprised on how little structures we came across. But there was a bunch over by the campsites, but not so much on this trail. If you're not sure-footed, buy hiking shoes that have a good grip. Because you can easily twist an ankle on this stuff. You can easily break an ankle, which would make walking back out of that area a lot harder. So we followed this up and around until we started to get to big boulders. And we had to go under this, and our trailhead went straight underneath here, so we had to walk underneath this tree. And I thought that was kind of bizarre. So we started to hike around these boulders, and we kind of explored stuff. And then we got on the other side of this rock, and we found this. Again, it's an interesting structure. It looks like this might be an asterisk because there's a tree going through this X that's here. But then you have the equal signs. And if this is a true X and it's on the ground, that means we're close to food. If this is a true equal sign, then there would be a trail somewhere down here and a trail somewhere down here. But then you have like these other things, like another X is down here also. But it seems like this tree is underneath this log and other logs are going up and over and under. And I always find that stuff intriguing. Then we find stuff like this where you have like wood stacking, or they're piling stuff on. Now, could this be a person? Sure, why not? But it just seems odd that a person would actually do this, spend the time in the woods and make something like this, only to be found later on in life. This is a leaner, so you have a tree that's going up here, and it kind of has a funky little bend, and it goes back up and it's holding on by this tree. But then you have this crazy branch, or this crazy little tree, and it goes around, and it goes under this just barely. And it's just barely hanging on. I found that intriguing. So then we ended up hiking back through. Now, when we were going through a lot of this stuff, we can't necessarily touch the rock above us because we're not exactly the tallest thing in the rock pile or the boulder field. This is what I'm calling art. Now, it may not be, but here's the thing. To me, this looks like a horse head, and the ears, the long snout, the nose, the mouth is in here, and it looks like, kind of like a horse. I don't know what else that would be. But on this side, it looks like a donkey or a horse. It looks like the tall ears, the eyes, the longer snout type of deal. The legs seemed a little strange. Now, when I was underneath here, I could not touch the bottom of this. I could barely touch it. Everything up in here, to me, for whatever reason, reminded me of cowboys or, people riding the horses up and around, and something saw it and started to make a pattern or design on this rock. And to me, that's one of the strangest things I've ever seen. But in order to get to this spot, where I was at, it was pretty high up. If I were to drop and fall down, I would probably have broken something. So when I was standing there, I was down here, and my head was like right here. My hands barely touched this goop, and Jim thought this was probably feces that was rubbed into the rock to make a pattern of some sort. This was incredibly soft in here, but I could not figure out why there was a bunch of dirt up on this rock. I just don't understand it. I don't get it. This is an up-close piece of that. I don't know if that's a fungus or if that is actually feces on a rock. I'll get you a little bit higher there so you can look at it. Because if this is art, this is cool. And I've often wondered if they actually draw things, you know, in caves and stuff. We hiked around on this rock for a while, and then we ended up slowly going back. I was playing around with the different filters on my camera. Oh, no, stop that. I don't know why I did that. So from daylight to darkness. And it's still daylight. It's just a different setting on my phone. A little tree break. Now, little tree breaks, sometimes I have to think that it could be an animal doing it or a person doing it. But if it's an animal doing it, these other branches in here should be broken off. This is going back to our car. I think we spent about an hour or two on this hike. And that would be the end of this video. My name is Patrick, and this is Sasquatch in the Wild. I hope you're enjoying the journey, and I will see you. Let's see, this is Sunday's video, so it'd be next Wednesday, and I'm gonna revert back to 2016 for a little bit, and I'll share with you those stories and some videos that I had filmed on some other adventures. Talk to you soon. Bye.